This is Simply Safety version 6 General Movie number 1, intended for all users. By the end of this movie, you should be able to log in via user security, change your user password, describe the main menu screen, recognize module and data security restrictions, recognize user interface features common to most modules, add, edit, and delete records, state why some records will not delete, and print and export reports. In order to start Simply Safety, I'm going to double-click on the Simply Safety icon, which is yellow with an orange hard hat on my desktop. In order to log into Simply Safety, first of all you need to exist in the Simply Safety People module, and your manager must have given you a login ID by adding you to the Add Edit User module and adding you to a security team. So I'm just going to try to log in here, and I come up with invalid username because my manager has not yet added me into the Add Edit User module. Okay, let's try this again. I've just logged in as a manager, and I've added the user to the database. Now back to the same security login screen, and my manager has told me that my login is going to be Bob, and that I need to create my own password because the manager doesn't create a password for you. So I'm going to put in my own password here and just click on OK. And the first time it comes up and it asks for us to repeat that password. And I can put a hint in there if I want that hint for the future, just in case I lose my password. My password's been successfully changed. Now I click OK. Before we move on, let's just review our login procedures. First of all, your manager must issue a username for you. You can't do that for yourself. Once you have your username, you'll need to create a password the first time you use the program. Should you forget your password, remember there's a password reminder button at the bottom right of the screen. If you want to change your password, there's a change password button. First, however, you must put in your current password, then hit change, then you can change to a new password. The program opens to the main menu screen showing a GPS map on the right and menu selections on the left. Accessing the menus is very simple, just a matter of clicking on the main menu item and then the submodules below. The GPS screen may have a number of pinpoints on it if your manager has added your sites. By clicking on one of the red pinpoints, it opens up to a safety summary of that site. The Graphs tab shows a set of graphs for injuries, damages, and corrective actions. Depending on your security permissions, you may not see all information on these graphs. The Events tab shows a quick listing of the most recent events in the database. Again, since the user that I'm logged in as, Bob, only has access to US West Seattle, he only sees those events on the Events tab. Now that we're logged in as Bob, let's take a look around. We've clicked on the People module. It's opened up to submodules. Training the same. All the modules are opening up. I can go back and I can enter into the People module. Leave it. Go into Training. But when I try and open up Training, I get a warning. You're not allowed to view this submodule. Depending on the security permissions that are set for you, you may be screened out of modules at this level. The module simply will not open. Let's go back to People. I'm going to open up the People module, and I see a listing of my people, but I know there's many more people in my company than this. I'm only seeing people from the region and site that I've been allowed to in the security module. So these are two restrictions that you may encounter if you have security permissions. You may not be able to see certain modules, and when you get into a module, you may only see data that you're allowed to see in that module. Your manager has the ability to turn on privacy settings in the Setup module. Those settings could cause you to not be able to see certain information in the People module, especially on the Privacy tab. The Privacy tab may not be accessible at all, and if it is, certain fields such as the SIN number field may be missing. That's a third level of privacy that may tend to hide information from you. Now that we're in the People module, let's have a quick look at the general screen layout. Most of the modules that you enter in Simply Safety are going to look like this, with record rows in the middle of the screen. Notice that on the left end of the record row there's a silver tab with a black triangle on it. That indicates which record is active at the time. So if I click on the Edit button at the bottom of the screen, it's going to open up that record. Now if I want to delete a record, I click my mouse on the left tab at the left end of the screen and press the Delete key on my keyboard. At the top of the screen, at the very left of the top of the screen, there's two Microsoft Access tabs, File and Add-ins. These you would rarely use. Just below those, there's two or three, on this screen there's three blue buttons, and these are buttons that you would commonly use. The button to the left is a filter button. That allows you to filter the records on the screen down to a particular record set. The button to the right of it with a red X is a remove filter button, which removes the filter, and to the right of that is a print button. To the right of the print button is a drop-down list of reports. You just pick the report that you want and it'll preview on the screen. Below the drop-down list is a set of quick filters. Now these may or may not be on different screens and in different modules. These are filters that are commonly used, for instance for active, inactive people, or for all people. If you want to find a person by their last name, just put your mouse into this field and begin typing the letters of the last name, and the screen will filter down to that. And to the right of that, more radio button filters to pick people by primary company, subsidiaries, or contractor companies. These filters right at the top of the screen are just commonly used quick filters, but you're probably going to find all of those filters under this blue filter button in the upper left corner. Down at the bottom of the screen in the left corner there's commonly a record count number, and there's buttons on the lower right side of the screen. An edit button to edit the record that you're currently on is indicated by this little triangle on this tab, silver tab to the left of the record. There's an add button to add new records, and there's an OK button. When you click the OK button, it takes you out of that module back to the main menu screen. When you're in the People module, if you want to add a new record, just click the Add button at the bottom right corner of the screen and a new record window will open. The items that are highlighted in bold are mandatory items, such as first name, last name, employee number, and company. The other items that are not bolded are optional items. To edit an existing record, I just highlight the record by clicking on the silver tab to the left of the record row and clicking the Edit button, or I can simply double click on the record itself to open up the editing form. To delete a record, click on the silver tab at the left end of the record row and click the Delete key on your keyboard. Now notice that the deletion of this person is being prevented because they have related records. When people have related training records, injury records, or damage records, they cannot be deleted. First you'd need to remove those training, injury, and damage records before the person could be deleted. However, in a database such as this, it's not that common to delete things. You would normally inactivate a person. So if I double click on Joey Santiago's record to open it up, I go to the Privacy tab. He has a hire date. If I fill in a layoff date, that will make him inactive and he will disappear from the active people. Next, let's look at how to print a report. The reports are located in a drop-down box at the upper left corner of the screen, and it's just simply a matter of picking the report that you want from the list. So I'm going to pick the first here, the people list, and that comes up with a print preview of my people. Now if you look in the upper left corner, the screen has changed. There's a new tab here called Print Preview, and there's some additional selections have been added on this tab here. These allow you to print, to zoom in, to export to Microsoft Word or other applications. These features may change depending on what version of Microsoft Access you may have on your machine. Also notice a new tab that's just appeared called Print Preview, that you may use this tab commonly to print, to size the document to control the margins, control the layout and portrait, landscape, etc., to export as a PDF, and most importantly, please notice this close print preview button here. You'll be needing to use that commonly to close this print preview. Then we're bounced back to the main screen. Now notice that I'm logged in as Bob Bob. Bob Bob is restricted by security to only looking at US West Seattle. So he's got 9 people on his list. Let's say that Bob Bob wanted to print only his IT support people. So you can see IT support under job title here. So I'm going to go up to the filter in the upper left corner. I'm going to pick my active people that have the job title IT support, and then click OK in the lower right corner, and that filters the screen down to just 2 people. So now if I pick that same people report from the drop down, now it only prints those 2 people. So keep in mind that this print drop down at the top of the screen, it prints what's shown on the screen at the time. So if you're only showing 2 people on the screen, it'll only show 2 people. If you remove the filter by clicking this red X on the filter button in the upper left corner, you'll go back to the full complement of 9 people, and then if you pick this report again, it's now once again going to print all 9 people. Let's have another look at printing and some of the options available with printing. I'm just going to click on the people report. That opens up to the preview screen. Again, let's notice the icons in the upper left corner. One of them here allows me to send an email with this report here attached as an email attachment. Another in the bottom row allows me to export this report directly to Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, or Notepad. Now these options may vary depending on the configuration of your machine. One last thing to be aware of when you're in the People and Other modules is there may be a scroll bar along the bottom of the screen, and the screen may scroll to the right to reveal more information. Just a note on mandatory data and deleting records. In many modules, fields such as company, person, region, and site, etc. will be mandatory fields. You must enter data into mandatory fields. The other fields can be left blank. You can tell mandatory fields because they are in bold text. Also, some records cannot be updated or deleted if there are other items attached to them. For example, data such as job titles, regions, sites, etc. cannot be changed or deleted while in use. Also, people cannot be deleted if they have related training and/or injury or property damage records. Normally, you would inactivate people by adding a layoff or terminated date on the People Privacy tab rather than deleting them. If it is necessary to delete a person, you must first delete the related records. Let's review some of the login and security restrictions. In order to log in, you must exist in the People module, and your manager must have added you to the Add Edit User module, given you a login, added you to a security team, and, if desired, given you a region site viewing restriction. You create your own password the first time you log in, and can get a help tip or reset it later if you want. Things that could prevent you from seeing everything you expect are: your security team restricts the modules you can open, a region site data restriction permits you to only see specific data, there may be a privacy setting turned on in the People module, and sensitive tabs such as privacy may not be accessible in the People module. In this module, we've looked at how to log in via user security, change your user password, describe the main menu screen, recognize module and data security restrictions, recognize user interface features common to most modules, add, edit, and delete records, state why some records will not delete, and print and export reports.